Hello guys, Onihime here, and today I'm gonna show you how I did my super big hammer. I did it for Christmas to cosplay Shea. I don't remember the Japanese name of the anime, but something like that. So I hope you like it, and again, here is the process of how I did my super awesome hammer that take too much space of my room, so let's watch it.
Hi there, so it's time to start. My first advice, if you are not sure about size and shapes that you want to use for your prop, is to start making a mock-up paper. This will help you to don't waste like the expensive material that you could have, or just a little bit more expensive than paper, I will say. So you will save material because now you will be sure about shapes and size. That's the idea of this mock-up paper. So for this hammer, I determined that the base shape that I need is a cylinder, so that's what I'm making. And I hope it has the correct size. If no, I will know that I just have to make it a little bit bigger or smaller, but that's easy to change without making a normal cap. So as you can see, I'm just putting some paper together with tape, and now you can see like it's the correct size. After that, I'm just gonna create a new shape that is a flat cone. This flat cone go into the sides of the cylinder. There is some mathematics about how you can get this pattern. There is some measures that you have to follow to have like the cone shape you want, and for this cone shape to adapt to the circles that you are making. But I will put a website to have this pattern in the description of the video. But if you want like the pattern for the whole hammer, I will be able to do it and just put it a price. But I don't think it's more than $5, so if you're interested, just tell me. And after this, I'm just tracing like the pattern that I create into the foam. I'm using floor mats, so that means that I will have to glue these two together because, well, they are apart, so I have to put them together to have my long stripe. To put these parts together, what I do is to take some contact cement, apply it into the two sides that I want to glue together, wait 15 minutes, and then boop, it comes together. Also give you some time to make some modifications if you want, like maybe if you put it to up or down, you can try to change it. If not, just take it out and then apply glue again and wait again. It's kind of easy to solve the problems with this glue, usually. And now as you can see, I'm having like my flat cone base almost done. It's a little bit bigger for some reason. I think I did something weird, but it's okay. I can just cut that a little bit and it will be like the perfect cone shape. So after this is done, I'm just reusing like this cardboard stripe that I had to create the circles to fill the cone. So that's what I'm doing right now. So with this cardboard, I'm kind of making like this new cool thing. So with this, I could create like the circles with the diameter that I need, and it's kind of fun and it's kind of a perfect circle. So I would recommend this if you want to trace circles. This is a better idea than what I did at the beginning, that was like measure like the distance that I want from a center point. It was kind of crazy. This one is way easier to do. So now I just took it off, cut it off, I will say. So in general, I just need these two circles because one will close like the top of the cone, and the other one will connect the cone with the cylinder, so that's why it has a hole inside. And I'm just seeing again if it matches, if it fits. I always recommend, please do this instead of just cutting all the shapes you want and then doing it, because sometimes we have mistakes and it's harder to do when you already glue it together. So next I'm going for my next circle, as you can see. And now I'm just sanding the edges of my foam parts before gluing anything together. Now I'm gonna start tracing like a big rectangle. This is what I'm gonna use for the cylinder that I haven't done with foam. So I just took a floor mat, and because it has almost the measures that I want, I'm just gonna cut it out. And now you see I have like my cylinder base almost done, so I'm just sanding like the edges, and I noticed that I need just a little bit extra to finish the cylinder, so I'm just cutting that extra stripe that I will have to glue to be able to close my cylinder the way I want. So I'm just sanding. This sanding process takes more time than I would expect, and it usually makes a mess. Don't forget to use like a mud mask and a proper equipment to protect yourself while you are doing this. So I'm also using now the heat gun to make this foam kind of turn into the cylinder shape that I want. And to be able to keep it, I'm just gonna glue it right now to the circle that I did before. So that's what I'm doing. Applying some glue here, some glue there, and then waiting a little bit so I can put this together. So now that it happened like 15 minutes, I'm trying to put it together. I know it looks very messy, and it was very messy, but I'm just gluing like the edges together, and as you can see, I'm almost able to close the cylinder. And now I just have to put the last stripe there. What I'm doing right now is changing the edges so it will have a 45-degree inclination, so it will kind of fit better there. So now when I'm happy with the shape, I'm just applying again some glue to be able to finally close my cylinder. I know this is like a messy process, it usually is, but once it's done you will see that it looks kind of okay and it works kind of okay. I'm just trying to put the other shapes together to see if I'm happy with the size and the shape, and I'm kinda I am happy, but it's a mess as I mentioned you. But the only thing that I don't like is because I have to add like this patch in the cylinder. It looks ugly, so I have a roll of foam that is like very thin, so that's why I don't use it. It can really hold the structure, but it can cover the part of the cylinder that I don't like. Now I will start making some rings. The idea of these rings is that help me cover like the flat cone surface that I already create. So I'm gonna try to close the flat cone, but also I'm giving some space inside so I can put my cylinder inside the flat cone. So as you can see, I'm doing like a circle inside a circle inside a circle, but I'm gonna use all this material. Okay, now that the rings are done, I'm just using the Dremel to have my smooth edges here too. I'm very used to use the Dremel after I cut almost any part. I usually do this process. And as you can see, my hand is getting like very dark because there is like the dust that is coming from there that is falling into my hand. That's why I always tell you to use protective equipment, because you don't want to breathe this dust. I don't think it's very healthy for you, for not saying that it's not. And now again I'm back into my roll because my glue is kind of dry, so now I can put everything together. I did a small mistake in the measure for this cover because I was starting to rush this custom for a convention, but that's okay. That part won't be really seen because it's in the bottom of the hammer. I'm gonna make sure of that. Now I'm just tracing a line so I know where I'm gonna glue my rings and to make sure that I have symmetry in both sides. So now I'm just putting my ring, and as you can see it fits okay, which is good. And now my second ring. And there you go, I just need to apply glue and the first flat cone will be done. So again, I'm applying my glue in the parts that I want to put together, and then I will wait some minutes before I put them together. I also used for this one a little bit of super glue because it was hard to put like the brush for this glue inside, but super glue also worked. Hot glue also worked, but sometimes it's not the best option. I prefer this glue because it holds the two parts together very well, and it also gives you some time to fix like where are you putting them. While with hot glue it could be sometimes messy, and sometimes it could also destroy the foam if you want to try to fix something. And depends on the part, maybe it won't hold it together as much as you want. Now you can see I'm putting everything together and it looks awesome. It looks big. It was big. It was huge, but I totally love to use this hammer again. Now I'm just tracing the next line to know where I'm gonna put the next flat cone, and I'm gonna follow the same process that I did with the first one. Now I'm moving myself to create some details for these cones. So I just need to create like some rectangles over the cone, so that's what I'm measuring now, trying to have like a good shape that I like to have these details. So I'm just use my pattern and create like the kind of rectangle I think I want. So I'm just doing it again in paper to know if the size is okay or if I have to do it bigger or smaller. I'm not completely sure about that, so that's what I'm gonna test. And also this detail is gonna help me to hide like that imperfection that I have over there, which I'm pretty happy about it because I don't have to add any new more pieces. So I have to make like a bunch of these rectangles. I think it was around 8 for each cone, and I just follow the same process, and I'm just using like the extra material that I had left. So that's why you can see that I have many regular shapes like small rectangles, the circle. And well, you can see I did all my little rectangles and it was very messy, but this part is done. Now I'm just tracing where I'm gonna put these rectangles. At first I thought I'm gonna do it straight, but then I changed my mind and trace it with an inclination. Then to check if I'm happy with this, I just put like my foam parts and glue it with, well, not really glue it, I just use some tape to keep it where they were supposed to be. And yeah, it looks awesome. So after this I'm just gonna use some contact cement and put this part together. Once everything is put together, I'm preparing like the place to put the hole so I can put my stick there. So what I do is I just find the half, and the first hole is going to be in the place that I told you that I didn't like, so exactly on the bottom of the hammer. Then the second place, it's gonna be exactly on the other side. So I just use like an X-Acto knife and try to take out that foam. So now I'm measuring where is the half to put the other hole there. And now I'm making the second hole again with my X-Acto knife. This time one of the foam parts fell inside, and believe me, I could never take it out, so just forget about it. It's not annoying, just live with that. And this is how my hammer looks. It's big, it's awesome as I mentioned you. And after this, the convention was about like a week or less, so I have to move on. So I just moved to the ceiling part. I decided that this hammer was good enough like that, but in reality the hammer has more details, but because it was a Christmas cosplay, for me it was okay. So the next thing that I do is put some filler in the parts that I think it needed, and when it's dry I start sanding. Once I finish sanding, the next thing that I do is take some wood glue and start applying all over the hammer. So this process took a long time and a lot of glue because this prop was huge. But usually what I do is put one layer, then wait, then put a second layer, then wait, then put a third layer and wait. Usually I apply 3 layers, and after 3 layers it looks very shiny and you really feel the need of painting it because it looks very awesome. So as you see, this is gonna take a long time, and I think for me painting this time was like the hardest part because the hammer was so big. When you finish to seal the prop with the wood glue, the next thing that you can do is painting. So for this case I have like a gray beige color, but I didn't have as much paint, so what I did was painting everything white, so the gray color could be like just one layer. So in this case I apply again like 2 layers of white and wait for it to dry. And yeah, this also took a long time because, well, this hammer is huge. That was the annoying part all the time, but that was the awesome part all the time. And you see it's starting to look awesome. That was the first layer. Here is a comparison between 2 layers of white and just 1 layer. And now when everything is like pure white, I'm starting to apply my gray color. And as you can see, by doing this way I don't have to apply as much gray, which was awesome because I really didn't have as much gray painting, and I think I was doing this like 1 week before the convention, but I was also doing like my final projects for college, so I didn't have the time to really go and buy some paint. And then I'm applying some yellow. I think I just use 1 layer and maybe just retouch some parts that didn't get so yellow. And this is how it looks. Now I'm just putting the stick on, and the huge hammer is gonna be almost ready. And here is one photo of how I look at the convention. So this was my Christmas cosplay.
Hey guys, thank you for watching. I hope this has been helpful for you. And if you have any doubt about or question about how I did or why I did what I did, feel free to ask in the comments and I will be reading. You can also follow me on my other social media if you want to see photos or videos, or just as a kind of support for me. Thank you, that will be pretty helpful, and I hope you like it. I'm gonna try to keep doing these videos.